Hello, everybody. It's Amber Kivett here with Lifepro. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing one of my favorite topics, the topic of autoimmune disease. And you're probably wondering, why is that such a favorite topic for you? Well, because I've been suffering from autoimmune disease going all the way back to 2005. And once you have it, or once you've been diagnosed with it, it kind of changes your life and how you manage your life and how you kind of put things together. But for the longest time, there was no data, no information, no clinical studies, no research, no physicians kind of leading the way in regards to autoimmune disease or trying to explain it. And now it's really come to surface here in the last handful of years. And so many of you might be suffering of an autoimmune condition or an autoimmune disease. And just remember, when you hear disease, it sounds like there's like something really nasty, funky, but disease is just tissue that's not at ease. That's how I like to kind of reframe that mindset is disease is tissue not at ease. That means that our tissues are under attack. And so 80% of autoimmune conditions are suffered from women exclusively. And so that information is now starting to come out in the spotlight. And it's not people like me who've been suffering for a long time who are sharing it, but it's a lot of physicians and a lot of scientists and specialists who are now seeing it for what it is and are trying to make a difference in educating the general population, the public, as to what you need to know in order to understand how to protect yourself, but also what are things that you can be doing that can change the trajectory of your lifespan. Because once you've been handed a diagnosis with autoimmune dysfunction or disease, it's like, oh my gosh, my life is over. And that's how I felt in June of 2005 when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, amongst some other things, after a motor vehicle accident, major trauma. And so I was made to feel like, oh my gosh, like I was told by some doctors, like, you're not normal. Like, people like you don't have this problem. So you're either lying to us and telling us that you have these symptoms, or you're just a freak of nature that we've never dealt with before. I actually had two doctors that told me that in 2005. And you want to talk about feeling lifeless when you have 8 spinal injuries. You've got no short-term memory, you've got a head injury, and all you want to know is, what do I need to do to have my life so that I can move forward? Because I was only married for about a year at that time, had just gotten out of college, has just hit the glass ceiling in my career, and was ready to move forward in getting my master's degree or doing something big. To be told, you're a freak of nature, you don't count, because we don't know what to do with you, because we don't want to study people like you. So guess what? You get to be a guinea pig for all these medications, because we think that some of these medications might be helpful in people like you, but otherwise we don't know what to do with you. That was my life for a long time. And so what I have learned, I've continued to learn more and more about autoimmune disease. And believe it or not, that's how I got involved with Lifepro back in 2018, was being dealt the biggest blow of my life with another autoimmune condition. Endometriosis is an autoimmune condition in which your body attacks itself. It attacks healthy tissues, and it's in a war with itself. And what the doctors tell me, oh, you're just going to have surgery. Oh, you're just going to have to take birth control the rest of your life. Oh, you're just going to have to suck it up, buttercup. Like this is your life. No, that's not how it has to be. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here to share with you of things that we have learned, people like myself who are in the medical field, but also people who are in support groups, people who are advocating for autoimmune disease, people who are suffering, people who are finding new answers. Because when you go outside the United States, the conditions that we suffer from, a lot of them don't exist. Number one, they don't exist in other countries. Number two, the conditions that do exist out of the United States, they manage them totally different in other countries. So I've learned a lot in the last 20 years, because my first diagnosis of autoimmune disease happened in June of 2005 after a bad motor vehicle accident. But I'm now learning that I was probably suffering of a setback with some of those symptoms long before I got into a motor vehicle accident. The motor vehicle accident is what sent me over the edge. So let's talk about autoimmune disease, because there are personality patterns, mostly women, who fall into these categories. There are health facts that will absolutely blow your mind, of things that make a difference in how we feel. But if you are a male and if you are suffering of psoriasis is an autoimmune disease, autoimmune condition. If you are a male who is suffering from leaky gut syndrome or Crohn's disease, that is an autoimmune condition, an autoimmune disease. They're not exclusively women, but 80% of those who have been diagnosed in the life that we know of in the studies are women. And so I want to leave some thoughts with you here. Good girls don't get angry, they get autoimmune diseases. Okay. I'm hoping that some of this will set in with you. And if you have an autoimmune condition, please feel free to post in the chat box of something that has helped you. And you're going to see why are you learning this from Lifepro? Well, because without Lifepro, I would not be glowing as bright as I am today. Everything that Lifepro has done for me since I started with the company in 2019, what Lifepro has innovated for at-home use, such as the red light therapy lights behind me, the vibration platform behind me, the PEMF mat that I'm sitting on. That's why I'm sitting, because I'm actually wanting to double dose here. I'm wanting to give myself a little bit of therapy at the same time that I'm talking to all of you. So I'm sitting on our Infrazen PMF mat. If you have a sauna, if you have a sauna blanket, these are all things that help autoimmune conditions. And so I want to be able to share with you certain things that Lifepro products offer that can make a difference in autoimmune conditions, but also things that you need to be aware of, whether it's your personality type, patterns of how you live your life, things that you maybe not be aware of that are actually harming you in the own convenience of your home. 80% of autoimmune conditions occur in women, and the women who develop these often share similar patterns. We put everybody else's needs above our own, not because we're selfless, but because we have learned it wasn't safe to have needs of our own. In the life that we live, well, we've been taught that the woman is meant to be the protector, is meant to be taking care of the home, meant to be taking care of creating and expanding the family. But man, like we are also doing things like what I'm doing with you right now. We're educators and we are executives. I mean, I'm the president and CEO of my own company outside of Lifepro. The woman who's sitting behind the screen, who is the person that I report to, she is a mom and she is doing big things in her life. But historically speaking, women didn't used to do that. We were just meant to have babies. We were supposed to stay at home, cook, clean, take care of the man. And boy, has the world changed in all these years. Chronic stress in our life, because we don't give ourselves grace, because we don't give ourselves permission to take care of ourselves. We don't give ourselves permission to save ourselves so that we can save everybody else. We are our own superhero, right? But chronic stress becomes the baseline. Cortisol is the hormone that sends us over the edge into experiencing autoimmune symptoms. And eventually the immune system starts to attack itself, and the only safe target left is you. But unfortunately, we give up that ability and because we're putting everybody else first. And so I'm going to tell you to do something very hard. I'm going to tell you to make sure that you're doing something every single day that goes to loving yourself, that has nothing to do with anybody else or nothing. Like it is just you doing something for you, whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. What are you doing in a healthy way that is helping you give your body the life that it deserves so that you can thrive to the life of your dreams? Now, when it comes to healthy facts, I have some healthy facts here to share with you. 90% of diseases are linked to stress, yet we rarely prioritize relaxation. So although that I'm working along with all of you today, I am still loving this very moment right now. This is not stress for me because I'm getting to make a difference in serving all of you. And I'm enjoying this time on my Infrazen mat and feeling a little bit of extra love for myself today. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to go do it again. Lack of sleep is deadlier than starvation. In other words, you can survive for 21 days without food, but you can only survive 11 without sleep. How many of you are prioritizing sleep cycles? You're sleeping through the night. You're getting a minimum of 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep where you are in bed asleep by midnight. Ideally, we want to be asleep from PM to 2 a.m. But how many of you women are sleeping through the night. And I'm saying that not to be sexist, not to be gender degrading one versus the other. It is simply because of our hormonal shifts. Women, when we start to go through perimenopause or menopause, our hormones are fluctuating on levels that keep us from being able to sleep at night. So sleep becomes a priority. I am honestly proud to say yesterday, I also have, so with fibromyalgia comes this other, it's a trash can list of symptoms that creates the fibromyalgia diagnosis. Irritable bowel syndrome is one of them. Interstitial cystitis is another, in which your bladder spasms nonstop and it makes you feel like you have to urgently go to the bathroom, but there's absolutely nothing there. The only way that I can shut it down is by taking a bladder numbing tablet, which takes about an hour to kick in. And then it requires, when I go to the bathroom, I urinate bright red every single time, which happens to stain the toilet bowl, which doesn't make it any better. But that's Amber in the raw. That is my life. When I get to that point, I know I have to slow down. I know I have to lay down. I can't be up and moving around. I can't be out trying to save the world. I can't be working on clients in my space. I can't be live on social media. I truly have to shut down. That was my day yesterday. So I have been in bed since 10 o'clock yesterday, late morning, after I dropped my daughter off at school in the morning. I didn't have to pick her up yesterday because she stayed with another family member, just scheduled to do that anyways. I came back home and I was exhausted, but I've been pushing full throttle for a while, full throttle. I'm a single mom, taking care of everything on my own terms, and trying to provide her the best life possible, as well as just trying to keep up. Yesterday, it caught up with me. And so I got back in my bed at 10 o'clock yesterday morning, and I did not get out of my bed until this morning at 9 a.m. I got up to eat. I got up to use the bathroom, but I was back in bed immediately. And I actually slept and it felt great, but I felt a little guilty because I have a long list of people waiting for appointments, waiting for Amber to save their world. And Amber had to save her own world. So sometimes you have to prioritize yourself. You have to prioritize sleep. And those who cannot say no are the ones who end up with autoimmune disease. So lack of sleep is a big problem. Your gut holds 70% of your immune system, but most people damage it with junk food. I'm guilty, by the way. I'm guilty of that. I like eating pizza. I like drinking soda pop occasionally. I enjoy drinking a cocktail from time to time, not very often, but from time to time. And guess what? It is all poison for our gut. 80% of serotonin, which is a happy hormone, is made in your gut. And so autoimmune disease actually starts in the gut lining, and it can start in childhood, it can start in teenage years, but autoimmune disease starts in the gut. When it comes to drinking cold water while eating slows digestion by up to 30%. Your phone, this right here, which we all live off of. This is how our world works. Your phone carries 10 times more bacteria than that of a toilet seat. Okay. Bacteria is dangerous. And if we're not aware of it, it's even more dangerous. It's great when we're building up the immunity, but autoimmune means that the immunity is built up as much as it can be and it can no longer fight for you. But your phone carries 10 times more bacteria than a toilet seat. So make sure and take care of your phone. Make sure and take care of you. When it comes to sitting more than 6 hours a day increases death risk by 40%. I'm going to a funeral tomorrow for a classmate. I graduated in 1996. I'm going to a funeral tomorrow for a friend of mine who graduated in my high school class, and he died at the age of 47 from a heart attack. I'm just grateful to be here talking to all of you because I'm going to go to that funeral home later today, and I'm going to see his family. His mother is burying him. I can't imagine. So when it comes to understanding this information, understanding autoimmune disease, I want all of you to have the tools and the resources to understanding what you can do to make a better choice in your life, because nobody else is taking care of you. It is just you. You are responsible for you. And if other people have a problem with that, that is none of your business. It is only your business to take care of you. Because at the end of the day, who's going to bury you, right? But sitting more than 6 hours a day increases death risk by 40%. Now, I'm not saying that individual sat more than 6 hours a day, but all I know is he died at 47. And You know, there's no rhyme, reason, explanation as to why somebody has a heart attack at 47, but that doesn't seem normal to me. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it. When it comes to skipping breakfast increases a risk of heart disease by 27%. I ate breakfast this morning. I eat breakfast every morning. It's the jump start of my day. However, I do fast as well. I do actively follow intermittent fasting, different intervals, because your body gets used to something and it no longer adapts to it anymore. It starts to change in how it handles normal everyday routines. So you have to switch things up on a routine basis. Only 1 in 10 people eat enough vegetables. I'm one of those people. I don't eat enough vegetables because I have a texture thing with vegetables. And what we think are vegetables are actually carbs. Like potatoes are not vegetables, but guess what? I eat potatoes every week and I love potatoes and I don't care. You know, if somebody says you are probably going to have a problem and you're going to have a big butt because you eat potatoes, well, guess what? I'm okay with having a big butt if it means that it tastes good. Skipping breakfast increases risk of heart disease by 27% because our body needs fuel, my friends. Our body needs fuel. Now, it needs fuel moderation. So when it comes to eating potatoes or bread, or drinking the different things that are pre-made for us, or eating those microwavable sandwiches that you can throw in the air fryer that you get at Costco or wherever, like that has a lot of processing to it. So, but nonetheless, food is fuel. Just make sure that you're not sacrificing eating good stuff for yourself as opposed to just eating what's convenient, because I'm part of that convenience world too. And I'm truly being vulnerable and speaking from experience that I'm not the best person in the world. So I'm not expecting all of you to be, but I do advocate for autoimmune disease and for myself. So only 1 in 10 people eat enough vegetables every day. Social isolation is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now, this is where I'm going to lean in because I am a very straightforward people person. Okay. When it comes to social isolation, what the pandemic did to us on an isolating level, we're not going to sit here and talk the political scandal that could be behind it because that does not matter because it's over. What we do need to know is that we are meant to be interacting with other people. This is not an AI generated share moment here. This is 100% authentic Amber. This is not scripted. This is just me connecting with all of you and hoping to make a difference in your day because we are all meant to be out and we are all meant to serve and interact with each other. So when it comes to being isolated socially, whether we don't feel accepted, whether we don't feel loved, whether we don't feel certain things, whether we feel rejected by our family, we feel compared to or talked down to by our friends. Being isolated is one of the deadliest things that you can do to yourself. So even if it means going out and serving others, perfect strangers, in a safe environment, even if it means going to a school and reading a book to a classroom of kids, even if it means going to wherever you follow your faith, if you follow faith, going to a local church or going to a local event or going to a local festival or going to a local charity fundraiser and just being in the room, not knowing anybody and just watching the room. Just watching the room makes a big difference. You don't have to interact. Just being in the room with other people that you might find have common interests. You don't have to share your business. You don't have to share who you are, what your weaknesses are, what you're interested in out of fear of being judged. You just have to get out there and be and just see what can I learn from other people. I love watching people. So I don't like to be at home. So being in bed for 12 hours was not part of my excitement. Like I love being around people. But social isolation is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So let's remember that. Walking 30 minutes a day can reduce depression by 30%. Did you also know that walking is the single most important thing that you can do every single day for just 30 minutes because it regulates your hormones? How does it do that? Well, when we make contact with Earth, okay, it creates a vibration in our body And that vibration is what stimulates our brain to release certain hormones, because our body is built on frequency, also built on emotions. And if we are not actively moving, if we are not ambulating in a line of gravity, our hormones don't regulate the same way, and we don't get to see sunlight outside. So get outside and get moving, okay? Now, here's what I want to share with you. Hang tight for me. I'm going to grab my water because that's super important. Make sure you got your own water, because water is really important, my friends. I actually have my Lifepro water here, which is our new water bottle. It's a glass water bottle, and you push this button and it charges the water. It gives it a positive alkalinity. So when it is done charging, there's a coil in here that charges the water. When it's done, then you can just take the lid off and just drink it. Quite refreshing. Okay, now, when it comes to controlling autoimmune disease, if you don't already have an autoimmune condition that you've been diagnosed with, but you have symptoms that the doctors want to medicate you for, or your healthcare provider wants to medicate, here's what I want you to remember. When you want to control autoimmune disease or autoimmune symptoms or conditions, again, I don't like to use the word disease because it makes people feel like there's something wrong with them. But when it comes to disease, it's just tissue that's not at ease, okay? But what most focus on, whether it's healthcare practitioners, life coaches, support groups, what you've been told, what you've been reading, what most are focusing on is this long list of strategies, which is diets, fasting, EBV, mold, parasite cleansers, mineral balancing, liver detoxes, medications, red light therapy, peptides, supplements, protocols. Okay. That's what most are talking about. That's what most are focusing on. What actually works is a different line of lists. It's a different list. Okay. Proper light and dark cycles, which comes down to circadian rhythm, which is all operates by how light hits your pupils when you see active sunlight. So seeing the sunrise, seeing the sunset, which requires you to get outside, even if it means going for a drive. Get outside, see the sunrise. If you're tired, go back home and go to bed if you got to. Either way, see the sunrise, watch the sunset. I have a big thing for sunsets. Sound sleep hygiene. So sleep hygiene is super important. You don't want clutter in your bedroom. You don't want furniture in your bedroom. You don't want clothes laying everywhere. The treadmill does not go in the bedroom. TV, dark curtains, comfy, cushy linens, a sound, or having, not sound, but having temperature control. 68 degrees is optimal sleeping temperature. And you want to make sure that you don't have any distractions in your room, whether it's an alarm clock, whether it is your phone laying upright so that when you get a notification that something goes off. You want to make sure that your bedroom is set up for you being able to sleep optimally. That's what we want for you. Emotional safety. Am I safe with being myself? Do I love myself as I am? Shifting your identity into being who you're meant to be. And so what I tell people is we are all meant to reinvent ourselves on an ongoing basis. We're not meant to be the same all the time. So if you're trying to be the same all the time, the world is moving forward, but if you're staying the same, like we're always reinventing ourselves. And so if you need a life coach, if you need a success coach, if you need a support group to figuring out who you aspire to be, those people are out there. Improving your breathing. Most people are reactive breathing up top as opposed to breathing here through the tummy. So when we breathe through the tummy, we're working with our diaphragm and we're working with our pelvic floor. We're working with this tissue that starts truly in our crotch down at the big toe and attaches in the roof of our mouth and in our tongue. So making sure that we are improving our breathing. The number 3 cause of pain in the back as well as in the shoulder is a lack of proper breathing. Hang tight with me. For some reason, my device here is not charging. So keep with me as you are, and while you guys are listening to me, I want you to post in the comment section something that you have learned today that you did not expect to learn today that is making a difference And how you see, there we go, and how you seeing, like, what is something that you like, aha moment for you? Okay. So improving your breathing, movement and exercise. Movement is medicine, motion is lotion. If you don't like to move, if you don't like to exercise, those machines back there will move for you, or that machine down there. That is my favorite Lifepro vibration plate. It is the Rumble X Plus. I've got multiple vibration plates all stacked up there. I use them all with clients on a daily basis. If you are not moving, make sure you're moving, because movement is medicine, motion is lotion. It lubricates everything. It gets this crap that's not working in our gut that's causing your autoimmune problems to ramp up. It helps to give us life back. The vibration does that. So if you don't like to exercise and if you don't like to move, then make sure that you have certain tools and resources in your home that will allow you the opportunity to move for you. There's nothing wrong, my friends, with using these resources as tools, okay? When it comes to medication, a lot of people are humiliated because they're on medication. I'm going to be quite vulnerable and transparent because I don't care what anybody thinks. I have been diagnosed with ADHD. I've dealt with it for years. My biggest problem is chronic fatigue because it's all part of that fibromyalgia crap diagnosis that I got 20 years ago. So chronic fatigue steals my life if I don't use the tools and resources in order to give my body what it needs in order to keep going forward. Okay. At 48 years old, I feel like I'm living my youngest life possible because of how I use Lifepro products in order to work for me, not against me. And I'm not working against myself. I'm allowing myself grace, and I'm allowing myself, you know, it's okay that you don't have it all together. It's okay that you have to have tools and resources and help in order to get it all done and keep yourself put together. So for me, with chronic fatigue, I could lay in bed all day, every day if I didn't take that magic pill in the morning that gets me up and gets me going. Once I get up and get going, my brain, and I've been tested on this several times. I've been through several sleep studies. I had a bad head injury 20 years ago with this car accident that gave me the fibromyalgia. And when I had that head injury, it quit producing hormones. So I actually went through hormonal menopause. I had the estrogen of an 80-year-old woman at the age of 27. When all those hormones are out of synchrony, the body just does not work anymore. And so when I had this head injury, it quit giving me the morning cortisol boost. And so if you don't have cortisol first thing in the morning, you cannot roll out of bed and just get up and get going. So I have to take a prescription pill that forces my body to jumpstart. It's like the push button start on your car. And once I push button start, the car continues to go on. And so when I don't take that pill on those days, my body just doesn't work the same way. I'm not dependent on it. I do go at times without it just to see what I can do. Because again, medication can be considered a tool or a resource that you can use in order to give you the opportunity to accomplish in a day what you're wanting to accomplish. Okay. So if you have to use the vibration plate as a tool or resource to jumpstart your engine or to move for you, there is no shame in doing that, my friends. Just because you don't have the desire, have the time, or have the money to go to the local fitness center and get on a treadmill or on an elliptical trainer, or maybe you don't feel confident in putting on the clothes that everybody else might be wearing or judging you for. Maybe you don't have the confidence to go out in a social environment where everybody's hanging out in their midriff tops and their shorty shorts and they look really hot in their bodies, even though they probably don't feel that way. Like, whatever your situation is, the machine will move for you. You just have to put the machine in your space, push go, and let it run with you. So making sure that you're moving and you're exercising is super important. We have lots of videos on YouTube that Debbie, Roseanne, and myself have offered for free, that if you don't know what you're supposed to do on the vibration plate, then feel free to go check out those videos, and we will hold your hand in your living room, in your community center, wherever it is that you need to be, so that you can continue on with your life, giving it what it needs to thrive so that you can live as many days possible at the best version of yourself. Okay. Stillness and silence. That was yesterday for me. It was time to pull out the plug. It was time to put on the brakes. It was time to just be still and be quiet. I did not watch TV last night. I did watch a movie or two yesterday afternoon while I was laying in my bed, just trying to decompress, trying to detach, trying to just let my body catch up and just letting it take care of itself. Our body is capable of fixing itself if we would just get out of the way and give it the energy, the time, and the essentials that it needs. And for me, it was rest. So when I started having these horrific spasms in my bladder, it's kind of like, okay, you don't have a choice. Like, you can't go out in public because there's nowhere. Like, my safest place when I have interstitial cystitis spasms, I either want to be on a toilet or I want to be laying down in my bed. Now, mind you, probably TMI, I don't have to use the bathroom most of the time. It's an urge, like it's a constant push. Like, you constantly feel like you're about to pee your pants and you can't get to a bathroom fast enough. So my mental thinking is, if I sit on the toilet, it's a safe place, because if I just have to tinkle a little bit, just a few drops, I'm still safe. I'm not going to wet the bed. Now, does that happen? No, I can't do anything because there's nothing wrong. It's just my body is miscommunicating. That is the definition of fibromyalgia. The brain is miscommunicating with the rest of your body that something's wrong, and there's nothing wrong with you. Miscommunication, but the body's attacking itself. It sucks. So yesterday was all about being still and being silent. I keep adjusting my tushy. You see that I'm fidgeting. I'm not fidgeting because I'm nervous. Far from that, actually. I'm fidgeting because I'm sitting on this mat that's 130 degrees, and it is burning my tushy. Like, my butt bone is like, ooh, starting to get a little spicy down there. So just turn the notch down. But yes, this mat, it heats up to like 175 degrees, and it feels good most of the time. But today I've got some pressure points on it, so it's definitely noticeable. So stillness and silence is super important. You got to make sure that you're allowing quiet time for yourself, just to be still, just to relax. You don't have to have the television on. You don't have to have music on. Just truly being in a state of silence, even if it's 5 minutes a day. If you're not getting that 5 minutes a day, every day, we really need that in our life, just for our hormones, our mind, our frequencies, just to reset, because our cells operate on a very specific frequency. And when our frequencies are all over the place because of how we are taking in information, we are taking in stress, we are taking in our environments and our surroundings, the people in our life. Like, sometimes I tell people, if you are around people that you absolutely cannot stand, just go to the bathroom and hide in the stall for 5 minutes and just breathe. Like, just breathe. But yesterday for me was stillness and silence, so that this girl could recharge and get back to the life and serving others and that she loves. And I needed that. I wasn't willing to doing it. Sometimes our body forces us to do that. And that was my day yesterday. My body forced it and shut it down. Social connection. You're all here. So Cindy, Denise, thank you, ladies, for being here. I see your comments. They make my heart beat faster, knowing that I'm able to make a difference. I know right now there's a handful of people watching, and some of you are scared to death to post something in the box because you're either going to be judged, somebody else might know you, somebody else is going to think, oh my gosh, that was the stupidest thing I ever read. No, if you are watching, comment, because it is feedback. And having social feedback, having a social connection, you're all watching because we have a common interest. That's why I love working with Lifepro, is being able to provide from the expertise of being a medical professional, but also sharing my vulnerable, transparent, authentic version of myself, not hiding behind something I'm not, and sharing you this TMI fine details of my life. I don't care, because if it's going to help all of you, isn't that why we're here? I feel like God put me in the world to making the difference. And whether you believe in God or not, that is your business. I am not judging you, but I do. Okay. And I know that my purpose is meant to make a difference in somebody's life every single day. And so that's what I'm here today to do with all of you. I have learned all this the hard way. Hundreds of hours of learning, of videos, of reading. You all don't have 100 hours, in order to read stuff you don't understand. But if Amber can teach it to you at a grade school baseline level, so that you can take even one thing today, just one thing, and you can make a difference, that's what I'm here for. So it's social connection. It's knowing that you all matter and I can make a difference for all of you. That's what makes my heart beat a little bit faster. Whether it needs it or not, that's what makes me beat faster. So thank you all for being here. Christy, thank you for commenting in. Christy is from my local community. Met her years ago from just just word of mouth. I'm all word of mouth referral. So if you're not talking to people, if you're not sharing to the world like something that's making a difference in your life, we're meant to share. So that requires you to connect with others, whether you like them or not. I'm going to go to this funeral home later today, and I'm going to see, I graduated in a class of over 300. And most of these people I have not seen in 20 years. I'm not even going to recognize who they are because we've all reinvented ourselves over the years. And I am not going to care if I don't know somebody's name, and I'm not going to feel bad if I don't know their name because we're not meant to keep up with everybody else. I'm not been following their life, but I am going to go celebrate my classmate who passed away because everybody deserves to be celebrated, whether they're alive or not. Everybody deserves to be celebrated. In some capacity. And so I'm going to go in and I'm going to socially connect. And some of those people are going to be like, wow, like you're killing it as the spokesmodel for Lifepro. And they're going to think that I make all this money. And here's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It matters that you are making a difference with each other, that you're able to take an individual who might be watching, who's just barely hanging on. And they might have heard something that I just shared with them that just turned on a light bulb like, oh my gosh, that's why I've been feeling this. Like, this is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm going to go learn about that. So if there's one thing that you can take from today to go learn more about, or you can follow through with another Life Pro episode of an autoimmune series, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. We're here to share and to connect so that you can be a better version of you. And if I can do that through my worst moments in my life, it counts for something. It doesn't get lost. It wasn't waste time. It was time that was manifesting into making a difference in some of you. So social connection. Processing suppressed emotions. This is huge, 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 huge. You heard me get emotional there, almost on the verge of crying, because I love making a difference. It feeds my soul to know that I'm helping others. I have seen multiple therapists in my life. Another reason why I have autoimmune disease is I was sexually abused by somebody much older than me when I was a child, and it started when I was 10. I will not get into the details of any of that because it doesn't matter now. But I held on to that. I thought I was a bad kid. I thought I deserved it. I thought I was, people judged me for that, and my own family at times ignored that it was actually happening. And that's a whole different thing. I've made peace with my past, and I have worked with a lot of, I was teaching self-defense, rape prevention classes for young ladies age 12 to 22 for many years. And every single time that I taught those classes, I shared my story of being molested, but also being raped in high school. And I don't get emotional to it anymore because I've healed from it. But I still get to make a difference in being there for others when it happens to them. They know that they can come and they can call me as a perfect stranger, and they know they're going to be safe and they can share with me, and I'm not going to judge them. I still had to go through a lot of therapy for those suppressed emotions because it never got dealt with in my younger years. I didn't start processing that information until I was pregnant with my daughter. And when you're pregnant, women, you understand this if you've been pregnant, the hormonal roller coaster ride of being pregnant does crazy things to your emotions and does crazy things to your personality and your mood. And I started reliving my sexual abuse over again as if it was happening to me in the moment when I was pregnant with my daughter because of the hormones. And so it brought to life a lot of those emotions. And I knew I was in trouble from a mental standpoint, and I didn't want to push those emotions onto my fetus. 6 months in pregnancy is when you start transferring your emotions to your fetus. And when your child is born, they can be born as healthy can be. But if you transfer your trauma and your emotions through to your fetus, they're born with that. And that is on you for not dealing with it. So I started dealing with it head on. And I loved being pregnant. I still love being a hands-on mother to my daughter. And I couldn't have any more after her because the endometriosis, an autoimmune condition, took my ability to being able to have more children. And it was a dream I've always wanted. But because God said, nope, you're not meant to have any more babies because I want you taking care of so many other people that you will not be the mom you want to be with 2 babies if I'm asking you to take care of all these others. So I couldn't have any more. And I've made peace with that too, because the impact that I have made on the world through my adversity, through my healing, and through my gifts, and being able to do that and being a hands-on full-time mom at the level that I expect of myself and what I love to get to do and being her mother, I wouldn't trade that for anything. And one of these days, a lot of those stories of how I've made a difference in your life, in all of those lives, in the kids that I have saved from suicide or from depression because I was able to be there for them because I wasn't mothering a second child. I will never, ever regret a single moment that I've been able to share with those people and with all of you. But make sure that you are recognizing suppressed emotions, whether it is trauma that has happened to you, trauma that has happened to somebody within your loved circle. You can carry emotional pain for somebody else, and it's not your pain to carry, but you can carry it for them, and that will cause autoimmune problems. So make sure that you are talking to somebody and getting it out. And gentlemen, make sure you get that water. Gentlemen, I was told this throughout my marriage. Every woman goes through a time of crazy in her life. And it's so wrong to say that. That's part of the reason why I left. Women are crazy at some point in their life. And that is not true. That is not true. We process so many emotions for so many people, and we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders because we as women are kind of built to do that. That's how we're multitaskers, natural multitaskers. When it comes to suppressing emotions, we are typically the last who are willing to share what's really going on beneath these ears and within this heart that we carry so big. And so, what I want you to remember, men, is if you are there for your spouse, for your girlfriend, for your family member, for your colleagues, for your employees, for your community, whatever, the best thing that someone can do, male or female, for a friend or for somebody in need is be an emotional puke bucket. What does that mean? It means you are holding this bucket of energy. The bucket is empty. And I'm asking all of you to just share what is on your mind. If there is something that is really bothering you, you don't feel good about yourself. I hate my big butt. I hate my hair. Like what can I do to this face to make it look more beautiful? Why don't you feel beautiful as you are? Who has made you feel not beautiful? Who has said things to you that made you feel not complete? You got to get that out. If you are really angry with somebody at work, if you are really irritated with somebody in your community, if you are judging others, but you're still holding that in, you got to get it out. And so it's just like using your words and puking the words out of your mouth into this emotional puke bucket. And if you're holding that bucket for somebody special, make sure when they're done throwing up the words and throwing up the emotion, don't just say, "That was great. Good job." Say, "Okay, I hear you. What else? What else is there?" And you give them more time to purge the words that are destroying their soul and their spirit. And when you get to the point of them saying, "Okay, that was exhausting. That feels good. Okay, I'm so proud of you for doing that. What else? Keep going, keep going." And then you're going to give them the opportunity to do that. I had a client last week. I spent 4 hours with that individual so that they could vomit their words. And I got paid to do that. I didn't charge them for all of the time because I just gifted part of the time. But I held the puke bucket for that young lady, a teenager in high school, for 4 hours so that she could cry out her back pain because she came in for back pain. It wasn't a back pain problem. It was an emotional puke bucket problem. And when she got it all out, she said, I feel amazing. I feel so much better." And I said, "Awesome. What else you got, babe? Bring it. Just bring it." She's like, "I'm good." And I'm like, "Can I just give you a really big hug?" And that's the social connection. And so she stood up and I wrapped my arms around her and I said, "I'm giving you a struggle snuggle," which means you don't have to serve me. You don't have to give me the hug back. I just need you to receive the energy that you're meant to have because you are deserving of it. And you just eliminated all this stuff out of your spirit, out of your soul. Now it's time to refuel. And so I did that for her. And she left here a completely different person, ready to go out and hit the the world different. You are all the same in that you also have a lot of stuff to vomit out in words. Okay. You need to purge your pain. Purge your pain so that you can fill your spirit with energy. Okay. I love hearing that, Debbie. I'm emotional because it's so much to hold on to. Like, it is so much good to hold on to, but it's not meant to be here. It's meant to go to all of you because I've already lived it and I live it every day. So it's like, I want you all to feel safe to purge. And it might be purging with your words. I'll show you something really quick. Stay with it. Grab yourself a drink of water. I'm going to share with you. These are my journals. Journal every year. And I went back after my divorce and I read through all my journals because I just wanted to know, is there something that I have missed that I shouldn't have missed? Like, have I done everything possible to have been the right person to everybody? Like, why do I feel this way? And I went back and I read through my journals and I pulled this out and I read these to that young lady the other day. And the date of this journal is May 15th of 2021, right after the pandemic. And so I was building a new business back then, but I was like writing down my thoughts, my fears. Um, Business should feed into your life bubble, but life should not be compromised because of your business. There are always going to be fork in the road moments, and you're going to have to give up some things in your life in order to go up. But you're going to have to get comfortable going down before you can get comfortable with the rewards of going up, because you can't just go from here to here. We typically have to go down the mountain in order to go back up a new mountain. So there are always going to be things in your life that are going to change the trajectory of your identity. They're going to, and a lot of them are not within your control. They're just like life is just thrown at you. But if there's a fork in the road, take it, because you can't go straight on a dead end. You have to turn left, you have to turn right, or you have to take the Y. But you've got to give up certain things in your life in order to be able to go up in your life. And sometimes that also means you're going to have to go down first before you can get comfortable with what is yet to come. I have been living down for about 2 years, and I'm really comfortable and happy with what I've learned from learning to go down and getting comfortable with a lot less. I had to give up a lot. I can't even begin to express to you. And a lot of it is money. A lot of it is family. A lot of it is marriage, 27 years with somebody. A lot of it is safety. But I had to give it up and go down in order to get really confident with having nothing, being still, being silent, so I could go up. So if you remember Amber being gone from Lifepro, not as on the front lines for about a year, that was because I was living down and just trying to fill up myself again by saying no to everybody else and by doing what was needed so that I could recover from being sick with my autoimmune condition. Mental exhaustion from giving so much energy is what I wrote here. And the R's. So remember, the R's are always about something better. Rebuilding, reinventing, recovery, reinforce, renew, refocus, restore, refuel, replenish, rejuvenate, refill your bucket, reflect, redefine. If we are reing, we are building something bigger and better that nobody has seen yet. You're always doing that. You just don't realize that you're doing it. Some people don't want to follow a champion. They want to follow those who are able to rebuild from their failures. That's who you're watching today. You're not watching the champion. You're watching the woman who has completely rebuilt from nothing. I walked away from a $1.7 million estate with very little because I didn't need the stuff or the money in order to be who I love to be. I just needed to refuel me, which meant I had to have less that I was responsible for so I wouldn't have to pay for everything I was keeping up with. I wasn't having to stretch myself as far. Your focus and your faith must be greater than your fear. If your focus and your faith are greater than your fear, you're always going to end up on the better side of things. You've got to work on getting you back. And here's the notes that I wrote in 2021. In order to get you back, this is when I started going through the process in my mind of leaving my family of so many years because I'd lost myself as being who they wanted me to be, which meant my autoimmune disease. I was fighting an oral cancer diagnosis. And in order to recover from that oral cancer diagnosis and the autoimmune of my body attacking itself, I had to get out and start over. And that's exactly what I did. I had to learn how to say no. I had to make sure that my inflow, the information that I was feeding my mind, my spirit, and my body was far greater than what was being called of me on the outflow so that I did not drown in the overflow. Your inflow is your influence. That is your social circle. That is the information, the content that you're getting from social media, the audiobooks or the books that you're reading, the sermons that you're listening to at church, if you're into that, the music that you listen to, the people that you listen to at work, maybe it's your job. Your inflow has to be positively greater than the outflow or you will drown in the overflow. So if you've got stinking thinking going on in your head and you're surrounded by ducks at the pond that are quacking and making a lot of noise, but they can't do very much, you got to change your circle. That will cause autoimmune disease. You have to figure out what makes you happy most, what brings you joy. You have to forget about what other people tell you to do and remember on the values and the vision that you feel within yourself. And you have to keep learning every single day. Number 5 is you have to do the work. You have to do it smart. You have to redesign yourself. You have to redesign your schedule. You have to make sure that your life is your energy. And don't do it alone. That's where you need a tribe surrounding you, a new tribe. And Lifepro is always part of your tribe if you choose for it to be your tribe. So that was 2021. And I am living those efforts now and carrying this conversation forward with you. The next on my autoimmune disease list is addressing personality patterns. There are 5 personality patterns that most women with autoimmune disease share. And if you are one of those 5, I want you to write this down at home. And I want you to do whatever you have to do to heal from being in this pattern of dysfunction. Because the medicine that the doctors are trying to give you, yes, they're probably making you sicker or they're making you better. It's hard to tell. But it is your personality pattern that's causing the biggest problem, that's leading to your symptoms, that's leading to your dysfunction. Number 1, I'm going to give you the 5. People pleaser, number 1. Number 2 is the perfectionist. Number 3 is the peacemaker. Number 4 is the performer. Number 5 is the protector. So they're all P's. They're all personality patterns in the form of P's. Number 1 is the people pleaser. You diffuse conflict. You deny your own needs. You have difficulty saying no, all to keep the peace and to feel safe, secure, and connected with others. You placate and negotiate while sacrificing your values and giving too much of yourself away just to feel accepted, valued, loved, and appreciated. If you are a people pleaser, you'll get sick faster than anybody. And unfortunately, that is my child, and I'm trying to break that habit with her now. She is 15 years old and will do whatever it takes to make everybody else happy because she just doesn't want to disappoint anybody. And that did not start with her mother. I can promise you that. Water, quickie water break. But the people pleaser, you got to take care of you and not feel selfish for taking care of you. It is a beautiful thing when you take care of you. Because if you're drowning and your friend is drowning, if you try to save your friend, you're not going to be able to save them because you can't save somebody drowning if you're drowning at the same time. It doesn't work that way. You have to be able to swim first before you can save those who can't swim with you. Number 2 is the perfectionist. Nothing ever feels good enough. You live under constant pressure to perform without a fear of making mistakes or disappointing others, often rooted in high expectations from parents. Okay. Now, Amber this morning rolled out of bed after being in bed looking like a mop head for 12 hours. I took a very quick shower. I did not do my hair. I just pulled it back after air drying it. And this is what you get. And I'm okay with that. You can take it or leave it. Same way out in public. You can't make everybody happy and you can't be perfect. We're not meant to be perfect. So we're all going to have flaws. Embrace them. I like to say I'm flawsome, flaws and all. I'm awesome with my flaws. So be flawsome and be beautiful, because I tell you what, the people who are trying to be perfectionistic and are judging you for not being perfectionistic, they're struggling, they're hurting quietly behind the scenes. They're feeling that pain and they're jealous of you because you are thriving by glowing as you are as your imperfect self. Number 3 is the peacemaker. You try to repair tension and avoid conflict at all costs. You're empathetic, diplomatic, and always trying to make things fair so that everyone can just move on. You're highly sensitive to tension, conflict, or negative energy, often because of chaotic or high stress environments in childhood where you felt the need to mediate. You're the person who tries to put out the fire before it becomes an explosion. You're the person who is remaining silent and taking the abuse spiritually, mentally, or physically because you don't want to roughen the waters. That's why I eventually got sick at home, was just accepting so I wouldn't have to argue with anybody. I just dealt with crap and thought, you know what? I'm just not going to say anything because I don't want to deal with the conflict. I just want to go on. Not anymore, man. I'll throw it out there because it is not worth holding it on. I don't want to die of oral cancer. It is not worth dying over. So if you're the peacemaker, just remember, if you are in a disagreement with somebody at home, when you remove yourself from that, you can't argue with another person unless there's two people. So if somebody is talking at you, talking down to you, arguing with you, if you remove yourself from that situation, whatever means necessary, they're arguing with themselves and they're arguing in their own head. And they're now dealing with their own dysfunction and their own insanity, their own bad thinking. And they're trying to place it on you, but you left the circle. So now they're left to deal with it. Now you can rebuild yourself. Number 4, the performer. You became who others needed you to be. You adapt, shape shift, and play a role to fit your environment, often at the expense of your true and authentic self. You want to be the starter on the team. You'll do whatever it takes to be the starter of the team because that's like where you get all of the attention from everybody that you always wanted to love you. And you develop the ability to play really well. And you're really good at what you do, but you absolutely hate who you are when you take off that mask and you're no longer playing the performer. When you take off the mask and you take off the cape and you are just you do not love who you see yourself because you don't recognize them anymore. That's the performer. So stop performing. Know how to compartmentalize. There's times where you have to be the performer at work, where you have to be the performer in a team. Put on the mask and put on the uniform and play the part when you need to, and then make sure that you're taking it off to be your true, authentic self. Finally is the protector. The protector, you be the one who looks out for everyone else. You're staying hyper aware. You're responsible. You're always on. You were parentified as a child, carrying responsibilities that were never meant to be yours. This is Amber. I'm a combination of all of those. In fact, I've been all of them. I've been all 5 in the last 48 years of my life. The protector. My family went through a divorce when I was in school. So I had to, do things that I didn't want to do. I had to cover up things that were happening to me. And so when it comes to protecting 4 siblings as the oldest of the 4, when it comes to always being protective of them at the expense of my own protection, and being the protector of my child, wondering what could happen, I'm just going to tell you, being the protector can catch up with you. And there are only 4 things you have control over. This is a story. I learned it in 2020. I learned the 4 things that you have control over in February of 2020 from a keynote address from a man who was sentenced to a life in parole, and got out on parole after capital burglary. He didn't hurt anybody. He was a drug addict who lost his life to drugs because he was molested by a female babysitter in his teenage years. And it turned on a gene in his body that led to more adulting before adulting was normal for him, which led to an obscene drug problem, which led to burglarizing people to pay for his drug habit, which meant the SWAT team took him out and sentenced him to a life in prison with parole and in solitary confinement to protect him from the gangs trying to kill him. Damon West found his way, and he found his way back. And that's how I learned the 4 things you have control over. My life changed that day from a man who did a life in prison with parole. So we can learn from anybody and everybody if we open our hearts to it. Number 1, you have control over what you let in. Your inflow, your influences. You have control over what you let in. Number 2, you have control over your thoughts and your opinions of other things going around you, other people around you, and of yourself. Thoughts and opinions, okay? That's all it is. It's not necessarily real. It is a thought or an opinion. You have control over what you let in, your thinking, okay? Number 3, you have control over what you say to other people, including yourself. And number 4, you have control over your actions. That's it. You don't have control over what other people think about you. No matter how hard you try, you can't change you for liking everybody. You kill yourself trying. I did. I tried that. Damn near killed me. So control only what you can control, and just let the rest fall where it falls. Let the rest be. We all have an unlimited checklist of things that have to be done. We all have an unlimited list of to do. And we all have a lot of clutter. But when you start dialing in with intentional focus on things that you want to accomplish, things that matter most to you, making sure that you matter most to you before you allow everybody else to matter to you secondary. You cannot give the world the best version of yourself unless you are pouring into yourself, which is going to require you to be a little on the selfish side, and that is okay. We all have minimal essential needs that need met, and you have a right to be selfish in asking for those needs, especially if you're the woman of the home. Okay, now we talked about addressing personality patterns. Next is healthy, nurturing relationships. If you are not being nurtured and respected in the relationships that you're in, if the people that you are surrounding yourself with, whether you are married, whether you're dating, whether you are related, whether you are working with those people, whether it is your team, whether it is your community, if you are not being nurtured without having to give up your life to doing that, you need to find a new nurturing, supporting group that loves you for who you are, as you are, and you will continue to reinvent yourself in being who you're meant to be. Having a sense of purpose. This is why I'm glowing to you guys right now. I know that my purpose in everything that I've overcome, the pain of my past, is being poured into the opportunities in making a difference in just one of you today. Just one of you. It just has to change your thinking in just one of you. If I can do that with just one of you, life-changing. And one of you might not suffer because I took my suffering and turned it into purpose, into positive energy. I didn't have to badmouth the people who have hurt me in my years past. I didn't have to tell you all the things I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you that I was gang raped by 3 in high school in a 12-hour period and that I sustained multiple things and attempted suicide from all that. I didn't have to tell you any of that in order to connect with all of you. And people will tell me all the time, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that you went through that. I am too, but man, I'm a so much better woman, much better mom, much better spokesman, educator, to anybody that I get the chance to meet with. Being able to take lessons of the past learned and converting it into promise of the future is a pretty incredible opportunity, but most won't take it out of fear. So thank you for allowing me to have purpose with all of you today, because my purpose each and every day is waking up and just changing one life for the better, just one life. And if it's just through words, if it's through turning on a light bulb that you've never had turned on before, if it's you're hearing something that you needed to hear, you didn't ask for it, you didn't know you needed to hear it, but you heard it and now you can't turn it off, that is beautiful. That is God whispering to you, as I like to say it. You again, go in the faith of your calling if you have a faith. If you're atheist, I understand that you're where you're at. I'm not going to give my opinion one way or the other because it's none of your business, my opinion, and it's none of my business, your opinions of that. But I'm just telling you that that I get to give information out, it is truly an honor to take everything that I've gone through in my past to prevent somebody from doing something of the same because they just needed one person to believe in them. That's what I love. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. Living from love-based emotions. You're looking at her, love-based emotions. I am who I am. I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm healed. I don't have oral cancer. Lifepro gave me the ability to make a difference in so many people and to feel love from so many people. Lifepro gave me these amazing devices, the PEMF mat, the red light therapy, which I was laying on this last night 2 nights ago. Last night I was in bed. 2 nights ago, I had a red light therapy device for my mouth and I was laying on the PEMF mat. I was double dosing devices at the same time. And my daughter was watching a movie on the couch and I'm listening in, but don't care about the movie. I'm just glad to be in the room with her, sharing energy with her. But man, I didn't start healing until I left my environment of toxic energy. And I didn't realize how toxic it was until I was out of it. Sometimes doing the hardest thing is removing yourself from what has been coping. You've been coping for a long time until your body keeps fighting. It keeps fighting to protect you until it can't protect you anymore because you won't let it. You have to change it up, and you can't continue to move forward. I was happy in my environment. I was happy within myself. I loved myself. I loved being able to be the mom, but I knew how to create a safe space within my environment that I knew certain individuals were not going to be involved in. And I knew I could go there and I could be safe and not be bothered. And it was a safe, uncluttered, spiritual, calming space for me to just recharge and be enough. And then when I knew I was going back into the storm, I knew that I had my armor on. I knew how to be numb and how to remove myself from disagreement when I had to, and then how to keep going in order to serve others. And serving others is truly what has healed me. So thank you for allowing me to share the love and the emotion and the tears, and hopefully making a difference in your world, because I am living my youngest life right now at 48 years old, cancer-free. I still have fibromyalgia that I don't want to accept that I have, but I have to deal with the symptoms when they kick in. And unfortunately, weather and barometric pressure changes make a difference in how my body fights for itself, the frequencies of our planet. It has been a roller coaster the last 2 weeks of 80 degrees to 50 degrees to storms to sun to cold, just back and forth. And that does not work very well for somebody who is suffering of the autoimmune that I'm suffering. I refuse to suffer, though. I've said that. I don't want to accept that I have this because I will not allow it to define me. I just know when my body says it needs to refuel, I've got to give it that chance. And that's why I stayed in bed for 12 hours and just turned off the world and just said, I'm giving you permission to love yourself without the influence of anybody else, without the emotional energy of a movie, without the emotional energy of trying to remember an audiobook, because this beautiful brain can only hold on to so much, and just being still. And today I feel great. These are tears of joy because it has been a long road. And I'm going to a funeral home today to look at a 47-year-old who has lived a very similar long road. I still have more time. So I've got to continue to give on my terms. So when it comes to all these things, all these statistics, all the data, just remember, autoimmune is not specific to women, but 80% of women carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. 80% of women are trying to make so many people happy at the expense of themselves. They're the caregivers, they're the child bearers, they're the ones. We are genetically and gender specific, biologically speaking. Our brains are meant to multitask far differently from a male brain. And I'm not going to get into gender differences here because that's not my place. But I do want to make sure that you all know that being a woman, a genetically built woman, our brains are multitasking and we carry emotion in our brains, whereas men typically don't carry the same type of emotion. And they're definitely not the same multitaskers. We think multiple colors of the spectrum of the rainbow in every shade of every color. Most men think black, white, and gray. And most men don't understand what women, how we process our emotions, why we are so emotional. But most men are not carrying high levels of estrogen, they're not carrying progesterone, and they're not deficient on testosterone. We as women are carrying estrogen, progesterone, and are deficient in testosterone. And the more estrogen dominant we are, the more problematic our cells are, the more our body attacks itself. So another thing to consider with autoimmune disease is getting your hormone levels checked and making sure you're getting your hormone levels checked from an integrated health practitioner who specializes in optimal hormone balance, not a doctor who is just running your normal blood panel. It is totally different. I supplement hormones every month. I had a hysterectomy. That's what started my life with Lifepro. So personality patterns, I've been all 5. I've been the people pleaser. I've been the perfectionist. I actually still am a perfectionist, but I have learned, let good be good when it can be. Let your best be your best when it has to be. This series I'm sharing with you right now, this hour of content I'm sharing with you right now, the only scripting that I have is posts from social media that I have gone back and checked the data, checked the facts. I've listened to some podcasts, and the rest of all of what I have shared with you is my personal journey. And being a medical professional in pain management, that is my niche. That is what I do, specializing in every day. Is I specialize in instant pain relief, non-pharmacological. So I don't prescribe medications. I deal with pain from an internal side of things, from trauma, from emotion, from spiritual. I am one of the top experts in the country in fascia. I'm one of the top experts in the country in biohacking. There are a lot of things we can do to feed this incredible being that we have for being better without popping a pill. However, popping a pill when you need it, because nothing else will work for you, is a tool, it is a resource. And I am a person who uses the tools and the resources when I need them in order to get through. I was on an oral cancer drug for 3 years and it didn't help me. It made me worse. I kicked it to the curb and started going more holistic with a lot of Lifepro stuff. I am now better, and I heal every day in emotionally letting out and facing what caused a lot of my pain. And that was my community, my environment. My own environment was causing my pain and my suffering. And I allowed that to happen because I'm a people pleaser. I allowed that to happen because I didn't have the ability to say no when I meant no. Now I'm a different person, but it meant putting me first, and it means putting you first. So when it comes to all of this, it's not scripted. There's no teleprompter here. There's no notes. This is my home where I am renting. I just found out last week I'm losing this home in the next 60 days to somebody who is losing it in a divorce. So now the pressure is on for me to find my next home. I've been trying to get pre-approved for a loan, which just happened last week for the first time in 2 years. So now I can go looking for my new home. But I'm not afraid of what's yet to come because everything happens a day at a time in our time within my control. But this is my home. There's no notes. There's no prompting. It is just Amber living her authentic self, serving all of you. And so I just want to say thank you, because autoimmune disease, I've been living with it for 20 years. I've hidden behind it. And when you hide behind it, it continues to eat you alive. I had endometriosis. I had adenomyosis. I know that came from my sexual trauma. I've lost a child. My daughter Zoe came a month early due to eclampsia. My blood pressure was 200 over 100, and I was in the hospital for a week fighting for my life and couldn't have any more after her. I am doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing today, according to what my faith and what my beliefs are telling me. And you are always qualified to help somebody that you've survived of your past. And I'm doing everything I'm doing today, holistically speaking, without much medication at all. I do supplement hormones because our hormones are the chemical messengers of our body. And that is the secret sauce to whether our immune system is up to speed or whether it's fighting and killing us. So when it comes to living your day, take one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. Control only the 4 things you can control. Learn how to say no. Learn how to connect with others and how to learn from each other, because you can never know it all. In fact, you don't want to know it all because it's always changing. What I shared with you 5 years ago, it's changing because there's more information out. More of you are sharing your stories and we're learning more. So what we're now learning about vibration plates is changing, which is awesome because we get to be at the forefront of it. What we're learning about in journals, medical journals, is very driven in pharmaceuticals. So be very careful when you're learning about reading clinical studies. They are biased based on who is funding them, who is looking at the results. And, if you go looking at stuff in other countries, you'll find different findings in other countries. But what we do here at Lifepro and what Lifepro has delivered to you in the form of devices, go all the way back to 1800 BC, way before the first round of antibacterial or antibiotics or penicillin ever came about. Pulse electromagnetic fields, fifth human element to the human body. Red light therapy started to be discovered back in the 1900s, early 1900s by NASA. In fact, it wasn't even discovered by us. Whole body vibration that started in 1800. They used to use sticks and used to use strings and instruments in order to create vibration over broken bones. I've written a book about it. It goes back to 1800 BC. Soaking in Turkish baths, soaking in polar plunges, or in algae, or in minerals goes back to 1800 BC with Hippocrates in the Greek Empire. It's all out there, my friends, and I just want to say thank you so much for being here, for being in tune and listening. Is there a way for your granddaughter to listen to this because it's valuable information for her? Absolutely. At some point here in the near future, this video will be shared to YouTube and you will have the opportunity to listen to it on YouTube. You also have the ability to invite your family, friends to our Lifepro Facebook page, because this is streaming live on the actual Lifepro Facebook page. If they don't want to be part of Facebook, I completely understand. Have them stand by until it's available on YouTube. If you want Amber to come into your own home and do a Zoom call with you, in which I can talk to your family or I can talk to you, I do take those appointments on private basis. You can text me directly for a Zoom call, 317-446-7971. I know that Debbie and Roseanne also take one-on-one appointments in their own niche. So if you are trying to learn more about whole body vibration as it relates to your situation and you want a one-on-one session with Debbie, reach out to Debbie in social media or reach out to Debbie in one of her lives and let her give her the information for you. Debbie is the absolute top in the world in whole body vibration technology and science and has been studying it over 35 years. She's located in Canada. And so, Debbie can do Zoom calls. I know Roseanne, she's out on the West Coast and Roseanne does one-on-ones as well. So if there's anything that we can do for you outside of the Lifepro channel that you need more focal energy and more specialization, that's what we're here for outside of Lifepro. So don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. And if we can't help you, we know of medical practitioners who can. There are people who have helped us. I refer people out to my medical community every single day because I want my clients to have the absolute best. That's the love I have. That's the love I share for everybody. So thank you all so very much for watching and for giving part of your piece of your day to us. If you want to rewatch this or listen to it, please go back and push play and just listen in your car in part of your commute. You don't have to see Amber's face in the car to hear the voice and to hear the content. But definitely, please feel free to replay this over and over again because it's not information that I have learned in just one time. I've got thousands of hours in learning this content to save my life. And you all don't have thousands of hours outside of what you do professionally. This is what I do professionally. So I'm able to emerge into it, truly immerse into it in order to help my professional career because I own my own brand and that's what I do. So I'm entering my information down here. If you have questions, you can text me. I might take me a while to get back because I do say no to outside interactions if I'm trying to do other things. It doesn't mean I'm ignoring you. It just might take me a day or hours or a week or a couple weeks, but I don't not respond back. I might say I might have to get back with you next month because my schedule is a little chaotic at times and I do prioritize myself and my daughter as number one priority. Lifepro is right there next with it. So the information you're getting is real, it's legit, and everything matters. So whatever speaks out to you, whatever helps you, definitely don't hesitate to share your story with me. And if you have a story to share with us, that feeds us back. We give so much energy. It takes a lot of energy to give this information to you all. We fill up, we refill knowing that we have fueled you. So if you can share, information with us on our Lifepro page, directly texting us, just sending an email. Let us know how we are fueling you and making life better for you because Joel and our entire team at Lifepro, they care about that. we care about that. It gives us an idea of what you need from us so that we're feeding solutions to the problems that you're dealing with every single day. That's our role, is to feed solutions to you that are legit, that are clinically supporting. It is not voodooism. It is truly 100% real. And so if you need to get in contact with our customer support team at Lifepro, it is lifeprofitness.com is our website. The customer support group is support@lifeprofitness.com. I will provide information below. Give me a second here as I'm pulling up the Lifepro page, because if you're trying to reach out to customer service, I've had some people, I tell you what, if you're having trouble reaching out to customer service, shoot me a text message to that number there that I've just included. And in that message, this is what I need you to share with me, and I will send it on up the line if you've not talked to anybody at customer service. Make sure you reach out to customer service first. If you have reached out to customer service and you've not heard anything, text me directly, and I'm not going to give you a phone call back because I'll be on the phone with you for a long time. But I need the following information. I need your first and last name, your shipping address, your phone number, your email, the order number for your Lifepro device, the date that you ordered it, the product or device name. There will be a serial number on your product likely. If not, shoot me a video of what you're dealing with. And if you've already spoken to somebody from our Lifepro team and you're not getting anywhere, I want to know the name of that individual. And if it's through email or through a phone conversation. If you've done all of that, shoot me that information and I will get you help immediately. And without further ado, I've got to get out of here because I've got another appointment here in about 30 minutes, and I don't like to be on the rush. That's what causes more problems and tension. So thank you all so much for being here. I love you all. I love the ability to serve all of you, and I love Lifepro. Have yourself a great day.